Well, to discuss the American Awakening further, we're joined by Mr. Rodney Shakespeare, who's with us on the line from London. He is a political analyst. Sir, welcome to the program. It seems like the U.S. should get used to the Occupy movement, doesn't it?
Though, is getting nervous about, indeed, vicious towards the protesters. The army is being readied to move in. A law will allow the USA government to disappear anybody, and there's fascism for you. They may censor the internet, and there are demands for war to hide the true situation. And the reason for all this is, in fact, the overall economic situation. And if you start in Europe, where the euro could be weeks, even days away from collapse, with the resultant sovereign debt of Europe being defaulted. That will mean billions, even trillions of payments by the USA banks, which hold the derivatives or the insurance. But they don't have the money to pay. And recently, the Bank of America moved $70 trillion, I will say that again, $70 trillion worth of derivatives to a Bank of America commercial holding, bank sub-company, which is a government insured. Now, 70 trillion is larger than the global economy. So you put it all together, the USA is getting very, very nervous that the whole thing is about to blow up. And of course, at that point, the protests and demonstrations in the USA will multiply by a factor perhaps of 3 or 5. And they are getting ready to go in with a fascist suppression.
And what about the tactics used by the police? We've seen it across California and its capital city, LA, and elsewhere, such as Philadelphia and so on and so forth. And now people are back out again, even in D.C. You think this may have aggravated the protesters and made them even more persistent?
Well, the protesters are actually representing not just a deep unease, but a nasty reality of 20 to 22% unemployment overall, 40% unemployment amongst youth groups, blacks and Hispanics. And as for the homelessness, it is hidden. The homelessness is now out in the woodlands, out in the scrubland, away from the general perception. But it is rising very, very fast, as also the number of people who are on food stamps. So it is not just a question of the courage of the protesters, and they are being brave, it's the situation is deteriorating very, very rapidly indeed. And the authorities can see that not only the nitty-gritty detail for their own population is getting worse, but they can see that the overall banking collapse is getting worse. So one way or another, the authorities are showing signs of, well, viciousness is the prelude to what will be panic, and I'm afraid with panic will come irresponsible violence.
Political analyst from London, Mr. Rodney Shakespeare, many thanks for your time, sir.